School board meeting. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Setting the agenda, any additions?
Nope.
Additions,
We're good.
edits? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the setting the agenda. No problem.
Second.
Thank you, Kurt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 1.3, audience participation. Any audience participation on agenda items?
Yep. Item 3.7, legislative update.
Thank you. All right. Move on to the consent agenda. If there's no items to pull out, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, on the 3 business transactions. 3.1, consider Jefferson principal appointment.
Yeah. Brenda Lewis, Emily Pass, Jeannie Young, Jill Van Reich, and I formed a committee to search for our next principal at Jefferson Elementary. The committee unanimously chose Hope Amor. Hope is currently the principal at LaVille Elementary, and she has previously been an assistant principal at the International School of Indiana in Indianapolis, and also at Lewis Cass Elementary. She has been a teacher at different levels in the Indianapolis Public Schools and the International School of Indiana. She did a stint as an adjunct professor at Marian University in Indy. Hope is a Lilly Scholar winner and a valedictorian from a neighboring high school that we will not mention, and a graduate of DePaul, Marian, and Butler, and she is currently working on her doctorate at Purdue University. Boy, they're up. We are thrilled to announce Hope Amor as our newest member of the Plymouth family. She's here with her husband, Nick. I'm asking the board to approve the appointment of Hope Amor as the next principal at Jefferson Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayweather. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Robert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Do you have anything you would like to add to?
Put you on the spot. Would you like
Put you on the spot?
You gave my background, but I'm just so grateful to become part of this school corporation and get to know you more personally. I'm sorry I've been battling a sickness, but yeah, I love being a principal. I love our students and staff, and I'm excited to love students and staff here as far as corporation and get to know your amazing leadership team. So thanks for placing your trust in me, and thank you to the committee for picking me.
And you don't have to say for the rest of it, but you're welcome. We always tell people that, just in case.
You probably don't want to miss what's up next, though.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations. 3.2, North Central CTE program update, Ms. Bucky.
Good evening, and I have to say I was rooting for Hope because I'm a DePaul grad as well, so we connected on that, and I know there's a DePaul mom in the room, so anybody else, I don't think, but anyhow, go Tigers, right? So, yeah, it's my pleasure to be here to talk to you about some CTE events and happenings that have been going on. I'm 1 year into this position as the current technical education director, and it's been a really fun and exciting year. One of the things that I'm most excited about that we are going to embark on over the next school year is a partnership with Purdue INMAC, which is the Next Generation Manufacturing Competitiveness Center. And I wrote a competitive Perkins grant to acquire approximately $50,000 for technical assistance to partner with in the cooperative. So we're going to be working with Knox, as well as Plymouth, instructors and administrators, as well as industry representatives from Marshall and Stark counties. And our goal is to build a pathway system to provide our schools an innovative CTE learning experience through having a high-tech curriculum, hands-on learning, so that we are preparing our students for a successful and rewarding career. whether they go into the workforce, they enlist in the military, or they go on to continue their education. And so at the end of this process, a year from now or so, we hope to build better relationships between industry and education. We hope to align education to industry needs and state requirements. That's the big reason why we need industry to come to the table. We hope to identify key employability skills and create quality work-based learning experiences. The state is really pushing for more work-based learning. And what do those experiences look like? They want them to be quality. We hope to possibly embed some of those within our programs, and we hope to continue to build on some efforts we've done this year in precision machining, which is creating a school-based enterprise. So right now the precision machining program in Plymouth is doing some runs for UBI, Universal Bearings and Bremen, and we hope to keep building on that and allowing our kids to be the creators and really be entrepreneurs. So excited about that. If you are not familiar with manufacturing in Indiana, according to Connexus, has the highest concentration of manufacturing jobs in the country out of all the states. About 17% of the jobs in the state are manufacturing, and Marshall County alone, 36% of our jobs are in manufacturing. So there's a real need for this partnership. So we are going to kick that off with an initial meeting in a few weeks with educators and industry reps. And then next year at Plymouth, as the host school, we're going to be starting 5 new programs. So medical assisting is going to become our year 2 program for nursing. We will no longer offer CNA. What we have found is most of our business reps, other CTE districts, they're moving toward the medical assisting pathway. We believe that offers more choices and opportunities for our students. And we have a record enrollment or a record application list next year for that program of 35 students. So we have never seen those kind of numbers in a year 2. So we're very, very excited. We are going to take our education careers program that currently happens at Plymouth High School and make it a shared program. And Mrs. Pryor is here, and she's going to be the teacher of that. We know that we need to kind of grow our own and create a pipeline of educators, and so we're expanding that program. Some of our smaller schools in the area don't have the capacity to offer that program, so they're going to be able to send their students to Mrs. Pryor's program here at Plymouth High School. And then early childhood education, we have that program now, but it is currently being provided by Marshall Stark. And we believe we can improve on that program by moving it to the high school. We have a teacher here and giving kids a really good quality learning experience, which will include field experiences in classrooms of their home district. So we have a student from Triton who will be able to go back to Triton and serve in a preschool or daycare. And then we're starting fire and rescue at the Plymouth Fire Station. We're partnering with Fire Chief Hallam, and we're very, very excited about that. There's a real need for EMTs, paramedics, and firemen and women. And then lastly, we are starting veterinary science. So that is going to be housed here at Plymouth High School. Shannon Verhage will be the instructor. And our applications are already over capacity for that program. And we've been preparing for all these programs. We're looking forward to giving kids more opportunities. And if you don't know a lot about career and tech ed, it has really changed and evolved over the last 10 or 15 years. Every program offers kids usually some type of work-based learning experience. Most programs have both college credit and credential and certifications. Most of them offer both of those, but all of them offer at least one of those, an industry certification or college credit. So I'm excited to have more students involved in career and tech ed and giving them kind of what I say, they get to test drive a career before they go on to college or they enter the workforce. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Yes?
If you don't get the grant, the $50,000 Perkins grant, can the program still continue with these additions?
So I have 3 grants right now. The competitive grant we've already gotten. I already wrote that, and we've been awarded that. That was a part of that. So we have that for the Purdue. And then every year I have a Perkins Basic grant that helps provide equipment, provide support for special populations, for all our programming. And then I also have an assessment grant that helps pay for certifications. So we already have all those grant monies secured.
Okay. For, is there matching funds that come from the school corporation to any of that?
So there are some staff that it doesn't totally pay, the tuition doesn't totally pay for the staff members, so that we have to finish the rest of that.
And the grants would help with that?
The grants are for something different. You can kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, so the grants that I manage are federal grants. They're reimbursable grants. So we don't get the, and I have to match my language for the intent of the grant to the monies. That is not to pay for any type of payroll.
Right.
So, but it is for professional learning. So part of the competitive grant I wrote, I secured monies for professional learning for our CPE teachers and for our counselors to develop a career advising program sequence. We also receive monies for special populations. It helps. Like for instance, we're setting up a lab, a physician's office lab for our medical assisting. And so a big part of my grant money will go to buying all the equipment we need so our nurses can teach those skills. So I'm helping fund that for veterinary science as well, fire and rescue. I mean, we were really fortunate in that the Elkhart Career Center reached out with some fire and rescue, some extra equipment, and it was still in really good shape. So Steve Holland went up to Elkhart and I think 20 sets or so. He was able to get 20 sets and said the equipment's in great shape. We can use it for every single thing except the live burn. That's part of it. So that's just an example. Education careers, early childhood, there are some needs that they have that I will be covering with my grant as far as instructional supplies, textbooks. Our nurses will have an online curriculum to help them prepare for the MHA curriculum, CCMA national certification. So my grants are really intended to support anything that contributes to student growth. Cannot be used for adults, but it can only be used for students.
Can you give them a little bit of an indication of how many more students we're going to have in the programs versus last year?
So, yes, we had on count day this past September, 542 students in programs in the cooperative. So that's cooperative-wide 10 schools. We are currently sitting on 804 applications. That's applications, not enrollments, but applications. And almost every program that we have is at or near capacity. I thought, adding 5 new programs in Plymouth, 2 new programs in Knox, are we going to saturate the market? That was a little bit of my concern. Are we offering too many programs? But what I see from the numbers is that we can keep looking at offering more because we are. One example is, I believe building trades in Plymouth is over capacity by 27 students right now. So that's a tough problem to solve, right? Those are hard instructors to come by. And once schedules are built, I anticipate numbers coming down a little bit, but I don't think we'll see the 21% drop that I saw last year. So.
How many of those students are Plymouth students?
I'd have to go to.
Do you ballpark?
Oh, Plymouth. Plymouth is the biggest school, so we usually get about half the capacity in every program. So Plymouth enrollments are usually between 30 and 50% of the junior-senior numbers. So if you have, let's just say 500, so we probably have between 2 and 250 are Plymouth. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And so we, capacities are determined by the size of your school, so Plymouth in every program gets the most capacity. So.
And she's picking over the LEC.
I'm excited. Our nurses are going to be there next year, and so is our criminal justice program, and then we hope in a year from then we will have more. The nurses are very excited because they will have a designated lab to teach their skills, and then they'll have their classroom space, and then they also are hoping to use the auditorium space. They would like to use the auditorium at times with their students to kind of model what a college classroom looks like from a lecture hall standpoint and use it that way. So, yeah, we're excited. There's a lot of growth going on, and we have students that are going on to college with if you do the 2 years of the nursing program, almost 30 college credits and the possibility of a national certification. So they could go right to work, go right to college.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep. And would you like me to introduce
Sure.
Jason? Okay.
Please do.
So brand new next to me is Jason Rivich. He is our new adult education director, and I've been working with Jason since he started because I'm kind of like the bridge to the adults. So we've been brainstorming different ways that we can connect and make that bridge really strong. So, Jason.
Thanks. Good evening. Well, like she said, I'm Jason. I'm the new adult ed director, and we have a couple of things we have to do tonight. The first would be, so I don't forget, we have a grant due, and we need some signatures on that. So, are you okay with this?
You've
You've got a folder, you can give it an added hard question. That's okay with you.
I started on March 3rd, and, well, so I taught part-time for Plymouth Adult Education for the past year and a half. I worked at the county jail teaching the females. They're preparing for the high school equivalency, taught ESL. At the time was at St. Michael's, and up at Bremen we also had a full one class. So as director, the first few things I've tried to focus on, just getting an honest assessment of where we're at with the program, looking at numbers as far as graduation, enrollment, whether that be HSE or ESL students, and then we can look at more of the career type technical training and things of that nature. I've worked a lot with Mrs. Felke. Honestly, she's probably getting tired of me knocking on her door, but she always has a smile and tells me to come on in. So she's my mentor, I'd say, from the school corporation, but Robert Moore is also a mentor. So the Department of Workforce Development owns adult education, if you're not familiar with that. And Rob Moore is a retired administrator, school administrator, and he worked at Bloomington Adult Ed for a long time. He's been mentoring me as far as like grant writing and best practices and things of that nature. So we're kind of going off of his experiences and the, like I said, Mrs. Felke has provided. And we've made a few changes pretty quickly in the program. I'd just like to go over a few of those highlights. The first thing that we did, we went to a managed enrollment. So before this time, if a student was interested, they would just kind of show up and either the previous director or an assistant would stick around and help them get through the TABE test, the test of adult basic ed. That's kind of the entry test that tells us where a student is functioning as far as reading, language and math. So we went to a managed enrollment. It's being more fiscally responsible. And at the same time, also lets the student know that we have expectations as far as attendance and what's expected of them. And so we have it now the first week of every month. We have Monday and Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. both those days. And usually about 3 hours we can get it knocked out pretty quickly. As far as collaboration with that, we're trying to wrap around. You'll find a lot of times with adult ed students, it's not just a high school education that they need. It's not uncommon for transportation, maybe childcare, and these other things that are complicated in their life. So we partnered with Work One. Work One comes in now. They do. This is their first week of community orientation. They have been attending yesterday and will attend tomorrow too. We're trying to get services in place for them to be registered with Work One. Work One has soft skills type training that can be available, resume writing, how to interview, and things of that nature. Computer skills, basic computer skills that a lot of our adult students are lacking, but that's also available free of charge. And the other one that's really nice about it is they have some funding available to take the high school equivalency test for students that are prepared for that. So that was a big one I'm pretty proud of. The other thing is we're trying to expedite. We have some students that we're trying to get through it rather quickly. They may come in feeling well prepared. So we're using the scores from those TABE tests, and now we're saying, hey, if you're at a certain level, we're going to go ahead and give you a pre-test for the actual test. So it was what's considered the high set. So you have the high set or the GED test, the two period test, and they end up leading to the high school equivalency. We are switching back to the GED. It's tried and true. It's been around since 1942. The high set's fairly new. And there's been some complications with that. So the GED is a much easier system as far as managing it as an employee here and a test administrator. We're going to be a test administrative site. We've ordered, thanks to Ted and everybody, Valerie, now. We've got so we use MacBooks here. Well, we have to have PCs to issue the online test. There was a grant, but the first week I was on the job, the tech grant that we were able to get, $9,400, and it covered the cost of the computers we wanted and the test site, signature pad and camera, stuff like that. We were awarded that, so we're pretty excited. The computers are on board. Started the application process to be a test administrator here in Plymouth for the GED. As soon as you get those computers, I take the pictures, upload them, and should be good to go. So we're pretty excited. The other things, just a lot of trainings, working with the staff, folks I've worked with, but I didn't know from the director's point of view, trying to get everything squared away, scheduling, things of that nature, making sure that we're providing classes. First off, that are the best interests of those students. We want to make sure we have the best staff, and we're still trying to find our niche because we have a pretty large ESL population that we're meeting at the cafeteria in a local school, St. Michael's. The problem with that was when they were meeting there, we didn't have technology available, and internet access is always difficult. So, thank you. We were able to bring them back to the Lincoln Education Center, so now they have proper classrooms. They have MacBooks galore for them. We have internet access that Ted is helping out, and we got that reset upstairs. And we have Burlington English, which is an online program that we have been paying for. And Malu is I call her our lead ESL teacher. She's an expert ESL teacher. She teaches full-time for Mishawaka. Comes down here 2 nights a week to teach our ESL. And we're kind of implementing more technology use and just trying to square away our ESL programming because we want to see more games and hopefully there'll be more student enrollment as well with our ESL. Again, I kind of touched on the collaboration. A couple of things I haven't touched on. I know Nona Rodriguez over at the high school. Again, we're trying to collaborate to make sure we're addressing any students that we want to make sure that they have a plan after high school, kind of like Jen talked about, whether that be college, military, or adult education. If they're on the verge of possibly not leaving with a 440 diploma, we want to make sure they're aware of our services and how we can help them with whatever the future looks like. So, on that, there's also, I think, I'm going to mess up the name, I can't remember, but there's some like a multicultural festival, I think it's April 28th, it's a Friday evening, that normally is planned, and it's going to be over the Lincoln Education Center parking lot with food and all the fun stuff. We'll be there, Work One will be there. Again, we'll make sure we have a table with all of our community members now, what we do for everyone. So.
I'm sorry, when was that again? April?
I think.
April, okay.
Yeah, I think it's April 28th, it's a Friday evening.
Okay.
I'm waiting for confirmation. Some community partners, obviously been Community Foundation, met with Matt Davis at TAMCO, trying to address like our work education initiative and what we can do to make sure that the employers in the area have qualified candidates. So that's just introductory meeting. We're going to go on that. Make sure we're doing good things and work. So it's kind of a quick rundown of where I'm at. Do you have anything for me?
Anybody have any questions?
Maybe you said, what's your enrollment at this stage?
Our current enrollment is, it's been a bit of a challenging year. I think for the year we're at 96 students that we've served. It's something we're going to build on. Same with our high school equivalency completion rates. It's just it's a starting point. We're going to make the changes necessary to get that up to where it should be.
What's your goal? Is there a goal?
There is, yeah. So it's funny you asked. The ABE grant, Adult Basic Ed grant, is due next Friday, the 14th, and from that, it's a continuation grant. It's the final year of that. So I took the last 3 years and kind of looked at the data, and I just took a mean average because it's continually declined in enrollment, whether it be ABE or ESL, and high school equivalency completion just dropped considerably. So I took the mean average, and that's kind of my goal, because July 1 to June 30th is the academic year, the program years of the college. And so from that, my goal is to get back up to 145 enrollment. I'd like to have at least 22 high school equivalency graduates. I'm going to be honest with you, if I come back here a year from now, I'm only at 22, I'm going to be here this time. Just because I know how many people are waiting right now because they've been in limbo because of the high set the issues we have with that switching to GED. I really hope that I can get up to 20 before the end of the program here. So it's a lofty goal, but I think I can do it. Yeah. Does that help? Yeah, fire away.
That's good. Thanks,
Good,
Jason.
thanks, Jason. Jason's done a great job of connecting with people. So,
Thank you.
good job.
It's only been on the job for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, 3.4, natural gas.
We need a vote on the
Oh.
discussion, yeah, to vote to, what, the adult education continuation agreement.
Yeah, so we will ask the board to approve the grant for adult basic education.
Okay, I'll take a motion. So moved. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good.
Ron. Forgot that.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share the findings of our recent utility study. While this is not the most exciting information for the district, it does identify some savings opportunities, and I have been working with Valerie on this project for the last few months, trying to analyze the data and make comparisons and come up with some new opportunities for the school. So, let's see, the next slide is essentially just a schedule of what we're going to discuss. It's some district objectives that we were looking to kind of capture in this opportunity. Trying to be more proactive and manage our risk, protect our budgets, things along those lines. The next slide, this kind of talks about the benefits of this new process. If you could, the next one, Tim, or Ted, I'm sorry. Transparent contracting process. So we're currently in this North Central purchasing cooperative, and they are the provider. And they are also kind of the consultant, and we're partnered with, 40 schools or something like that. And so they basically make commission on a portion of our purchase, where this entity would work with us on like a per student annual rate, which basically translates out to a cost of $1.05 per student, or $3,340 yearly, which is a consulting fee for this. And through that process, it basically gives us some advantages as they help prepare the RFPs to go out for bid for these. They give us the recommendations. They're just strictly a consultant. They don't really have skin in the game as far as owning the gas or selling us anything in that respect. So it's a little bit more of a neutral approach. The 100% swing, essentially, it mentions February of 2021. That was an extreme ice storm that hit the country and forced a shortage of natural gas supply. At that time, we had hedged about 80% of our purchase, so in that month, we were a little short for gas, and we had to buy at market pricing, which really kind of exposed us to the market. Not all providers want to offer you a 100% swing coverage so that you can avoid those risks in the open market. Sometimes you're also out there where you don't want to have too much gas bought because maybe you have a mild winter. But so you're kind of just trying to read the market and trends. And so our summer gas purchasing in the past has always been at market pricing. Some things that have gone on in the country lately, like the U.S. reduction of fracking for natural gas, and actually the war in Ukraine has driven up purchase prices on natural gas because a lot of Europe is purchasing gas now from U.S. sources, which is increasing the cost, in our country and throughout for these things. So I felt it was an important opportunity for us to really vet this out and see where we could find opportunities. If you could, Ted, skip that one and go to the next one. So this slide represents the annual gas consumption by building. New Lincoln Junior High, and approximately in the middle, has kind of higher usages for natural gas because we run what's called a reheat dehumidification. So we set the temperature up higher, and we use the boiler to dehumidify the air, saving electricity. So if we're out there buying that summer gas at the market price, it's not the best strategy. It's good technology for us, but it's not the best purchasing plan for our needs. And Washington is going to go to this type of system as well. So we're looking at protecting the district on that. And when you look at usage, Plymouth High School used 99,338 therms of gas for the year in last year. And I mean, if an average home is using 240 therms a month, that's a lot of inventory to put it into comparison. We're using 22,000 therms in a month. So it's a big consumable for us. And that was one of the decisions as well that led us into the solar projects and things like that, reducing our dependencies, and this will help us leverage our purchasing. So that therm usage is, I mean, our buildings are all energy efficient, we've done things, but we gotta control this cost. So this is a way to do that. The next slide, basically the left grouping represents the 2022 pricing that we paid through the NEC pricing group, and the right hand shows what we would have spent in the Maverick consortium. I went and broke these numbers down and kind of analyzed it. Basically, last year we could have saved $21,839 had we made the switch a year ago. So that's our motivation into trying to find these opportunities. And then, I mean, nobody predicts the war in Ukraine, or nobody sees these climate changes and things, but we have to protect and hedge for those things. So the next slide compares our forward purchasing and our current commitments out through March of 2025. So this consortium we're in, we basically have to, we're grouped with a large group of schools, and there's a voting group. Valerie, you're on the board for that currently. So if the board would elect to extend it, we would extend our commitment out. So in 2023, we would save about $5,000 for the hedge because they've upped the quantity slightly between what we're doing now and what we could be doing. In 24, that savings is about $14,000, and in 25, it's around $28,828. So we are committed until 2025 in our current plan. But we need to start looking forward, and this is where we can, you know, as we move forward in this. So I guess our next steps are that we consider the options of moving down this path and moving away from the NEC cooperative, which we've been in for a long time, and moving to an independent consultant. And then we would basically enter a new agreement with them that we would not pay anything for until 2025 when those commitments come off. And then from there we could begin capturing more opportunities. But I wanted to give this as informational, and then Valerie would have the contracts if we would elect to go that way. So there, I mean, that's kind of what we found working together on it. I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions you might have on this.
When would we need to approve new contracts
We
and
would-
make this decision?
So we would need to draft a letter potentially to notify the cooperative that we're not going to extend our purchasing, because if they elect to move forward, we're in that group. We're on board for that purchase at that point. So if we draft that letter and we send that out, that freezes it where it's at that point. Then we enter a new agreement, which there's some language we have to get put in, and that could go in the future in an up and coming meeting, I guess, for the board to approve a new contract. And as I said, that would not go, it would be based on the $1.05 per student at that time in 2025. It's kind of a tricky market. If you overbuy it, you're selling off a commodity. But this process though, with this 100% swing, kind of stabilizes our purchasing, gives us a little protection in that path, and it offers us some opportunities to save. So maybe do you think in the next meeting we could have that contract potentially?
Yeah, with the board's approval, like I said, and just as Dave mentioned, this is a big change because it's something that we've not only been in for so long, but then also taking a fresh look at what we have and determining whether or not this current solution
does the merit that it's intended to in the long run. What Dave and I learned through this process was, we were able to sit down and get a deeper dive with what we have. And in the past, it's worked how it's intended, but the way that the market has shifted, and then with the hedge piece of being locked in and then buying every so often, that really, we're but one vote in the whole school.
In the 40 school cooperative.
Right.
And we were hedging 36 cents and we're hedging 59 cents because of the war in Ukraine. So we felt it was prudent to start looking at what our options were for the district, because we can't sustain those kind of increases over a long duration.
So if we approve the writing of the letter and sending that in to potentially pause us moving forward with them, does that make it so we cannot move forward with them?
So what it would it would excuse us from any further hedges after March of 2025. It would not be, and then it would incorporate us with the Maverick as our consultant, and then whichever co-op that we decided we want to be in from there.
But this letter would be a definite that we're done with.
Exactly.
That we're not going to go this path anymore. We're leaving this group. Right. We've been in it quite a while, but it's a change that we felt pretty strongly we had to give you the option.
Something that's on my mind, and I maybe it's too big of an ask if the turnaround is in 1 month, but like if you connect this to the solar project, which you referenced, I really feel like we need sort of a comprehensive view of what the district's position is regarding energy usage and the future with more climate crisis on the horizon. Because I actually think it could be, I think I said this about the solar projects, it actually could be a differentiator for what makes this district sort of have a vision for where are we going.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little more comprehensive than just, say, natural gas or just solar. Perhaps there's opportunities for wind, or, there are other ways to think about maybe the school's carbon footprint, right? And then all of a sudden you can tie in curricular, initiatives and goals. So all I'm saying is I do think it's a bigger piece that this might be the perfect fit within and a step towards something. But I would like to know that we're actually making a step towards something that we're all in agreement that that's actually the vision for the district.
We actually have the pieces upcoming. We just completed the solar project, and the data is becoming more available to us as we speak every day. When I go to the app, I see live data now on what we're producing. And there have been, for the month of February, there were numerous days where we were operating essentially neutral to the grid. At Washington and Riverside, we're not using electricity off of NIPSCO on days. And those are short days in the winter, so actually as we move on, we're going to see more data.
I think that's a story to celebrate. And I think that's a story we could tell, we could market.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. It's good. It's very, very good stuff.
Yeah, I think we just need to get it out to the buildings and make it accessible to people. We've just kind of got it online. Getting the materials to finish the project were a challenge in the supply chains, and it took longer than we had hoped. But now that it's there, I think it's something that we could give you in the schools very easily access to it. So.
Any other questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Are you ready for that?
Either way, it's the board's call.
Yeah. We do have a letter that is ready to get us from the consortium that we are currently in. So I've asked the board to approve us giving the letter to moving forward with. Well, we have to unhinge from
NEC.
NEC.
North Central Cooperative.
Do you need more than that? The letter that would work. So the motion would be just to approve us unhinging from NEC.
I'll take a motion to approve the writing of the letter to unhinge us from NEC.
NEC.
So moved. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Second. Second. Thank you, Nicole. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Send a letter. All right, 3.5, consider permission to apply for grants. Ms. Moore?
You can move on.
Yes.
So prepared for your review and consideration this evening is a list of grants that we are requesting the board's permission to apply for during the 23-24 school year. This opportunity allows the district to support programming initiatives that will continue to ensure that the needs of PCSC students and families are met in a variety of aspects. To illustrate the importance of these grants during the 2022 calendar year, so all 12 months of 2022, PCSC received just over $4.2 million in combined grant funding support.
Okay. Motion to approve the list. Motion to approve the list?
Requested, please.
Okay. So moved. Thank you, Robin. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 3.6, consider summer school 2023.
Yes, we asked the board to consider our summer school proposal for summer of 2023. Summer school for our K-6 students will occur from June 5th through June 23rd. Our summer school program will have our students exploring areas in science, reading, and math. Summer school for our 9 through 12 grades, those students will be taking place in 2 sessions. Session 1 will begin on June 12th and end on June 30th. Session 2 will start on July 10th and end on July 28th. Course offerings will be decided in this coming month. I'm asking the board to approve the summer school plan as presented.
Take a motion to approve summer school plan for 2023. Thank you. I'll take a second.
Second.
Thank you, Robin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 3.7, legislative update.
Yeah, so the one that we have kind of been teaming on, Laura and I have been having some conversations about writing a letter together about House Bill 1001. And 1001 is the bill that talks about our per student average of money that we get and the idea of taking textbooks directly from the foundation of that. So we are planning to write a letter, sign it together. We are hoping to get the support of the board also for that same letter. We like both ideas. We like the raise, right? And then we like the idea of not having to pay textbooks. We just don't want them to be commingled together. So I didn't know, Laura, I know, wanted to speak on some things as well. So that was my report, and I'll let her. I don't want to steal all of your thunder, Laura.
Well, thank you. Well, where we are right now in the legislative session is we are getting ready to enter the last couple weeks in which our legislators are working in committees. And so this is a critical time for us to really make our voices heard and try and contact our legislators once again. There are going to be several opportunities to do that. On April 13th, there is a Pack the House event, and I'm going to go down there myself with a couple teachers. This is an event where teachers and supporters of public education are going to go there and really advocate for our community schools. The Plymouth Chamber of Commerce is having a third house meeting on April 14th. I think that's pretty big news. It's been a long time since I've seen one advertised here in Marshall County. That would be maybe an opportunity if you can get away from your day jobs and go and be at the Reese Theater. It starts at 12 noon. It will be for about an hour. You do have to submit your questions ahead of time, and those have to be submitted to the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce by April 12th. So I'm trying to get some of our retired friends, teachers, to go to that meeting and again support public education and advocate for our schools. Then on April 19th, Plymouth, along with several other local teachers associations, are sending down either their presidents or designees of the presidents to lobby once again with our legislators. Lori and I cannot go, so we're going to send Megan Atkinson to go down and be our voice. So those dates are significant. Again, trying to make contact with our legislators, share with them, what we see as far as the impact some of these proposed bills will have on our local school. Mitch mentioned a joint letter. that we are going to work on, and the idea is being able to take it and hand it both to our representative and our senator down in Indianapolis as well. So overall, the goal is 1 month from today, hopefully, or 1 month from this meeting, we can come back and we can have some good news for you. Now, what would that good news look like? For me, it would be definitely changes within the budget. When you look at the current proposals right now, what they're talking about with funding for public education will barely cover inflation. We know inflation is a challenge for everyone, especially our school districts. And just listening tonight, and how mindful we are of our spending and the money we're bringing in, whether it's the expansion of our CTE programs or the study that we're doing with our energy costs. I don't think anyone can deny that, we're not doing our best. But we need help from the state, and that is critical. So my optimism would be that in a month we can come back and say, yes, they've made those changes. And then add on to that, I would really love to see some movement again where House Bill or Senate Bill 486 teachers maintain their voice when it comes to class sizes, curriculum, and teaching methods, that we still have an opportunity to be part of the conversation. So that would be my update.
Thanks, Laura.
Good. All right, on to 4.1, monthly remarks.
Yeah, I would like to thank Feed the Children, who donated $2,762 for books, supplies, and food to our various buildings at PCSC. Also, we have a committee formed. I think you kind of know this already, but we have a committee formed on the redistricting issue. They've met several times, and we have another meeting scheduled for this Thursday morning. Still having discussions on topics that were brought up from last Tuesday's meeting with the public. Once we have worked through those issues and have a more definite plan, then of course we will be bringing that back to the board to seek approval. Reminder to the board, if you could stay for a short time after to help choose scholarship winners, that would be greatly appreciated. And our next regular meeting will be right back here Tuesday, May 2nd at 7 p.m.
Thank you. All right, 5.1, audience participation on agenda items. Okay. Move on to 6.1, adjournment. Big motion. So, thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.